You are listening to the Central Indiana Sports Report podcast number 294.1, the Central Indiana Scoreboard show for June 12, 2025. It's your daily audio sports section.
You're listening to the Central Indiana Sports Report with your host, Greg Mengels.
Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, Central Indiana sports fans. Today is June 12, 2025. It's a Thursday. I'm your host, Greg Mengelt, podcasting from Stage 22 in beautiful Elwood, Indiana. Producer Susie is in the control room back at headquarters in Jeffersonville. Can't wait to see her tomorrow. Coming up, we have Pacers, and more Pacers, and a couple other stuff. Please go to our YouTube page and subscribe so you don't miss any segments. We are going to start adding video in August. You're going to want to be subscribed. Please go do that. Plus, continued coverage of the Pacers all week. We will have a NBA Finals report with John Robertson for you by Friday morning at the latest, and we hope to have a Pacers report with Mike Rich, depending on how his deployment's going. Also, we're going to have golf, baseball, and softball coverage throughout the weekend as we continue our coverage of the high school sports spring postseasons.
It's been 9,126 days since the last time that this wonderful state has hosted the NBA Finals. I call it perfect timing because everybody's talking about the OKC fans are the loudest. The OKC fans have the best fans in the league. What the world is about to witness is the loudest building in the history of ball. Let's turn this let's go!
And go they went. The Pacers hosted an NBA Finals game for the first time in a quarter of a century on Wednesday night, and man, was it sublime. That, of course, was Pat McAfee winding up the Indiana Pacers fans before Wednesday's historic Game 3 at a Wild Fieldhouse in beautiful downtown Indianapolis. The Pacers pulled away from an 80-win Oklahoma City team late for a big 116-107 win in Game 3 Friday at the Fieldhouse. The Pacers outscored Oklahoma City 40-28 in the second quarter and led by 4 at the break. After the Thunder took a 5-point lead going into the final period, Indiana outscored them 32-18 in the fourth. Of course, the second and fourth quarters were the ones that Benedict Mathurin played most of his minutes, and man, did he ever use his 22 minutes well. He was 9 for 12 from the field, 7 for 8 from the foul line, and made 2 of his 3 three-point attempts for 27 points in 22 minutes, 27 points on 12 field goal attempts. Mathurin is the first player in 14 years to score 25 points off the bench in an NBA Finals game. The last to do it was Jason Terry of the Mavericks in the 2011 upset of the Miami Heat. He scored 27 in that Game 6 clincher. Mathurin tied Jalen Rose's franchise record for points off the bench in a Finals game. Rose scored 27 in the 2000 Finals Game 5 blowout win over the Lakers. Mathurin credited the Indiana faithful for helping the team get to the finish line.
They were very, very important. I think that, the state of Indiana is about basketball, and that's the first time that I really felt it. And as much as this is a dream right now, I'm not trying to live in my dream. I'm trying to live in the present and make sure the dream ends well, which means winning next game and winning a championship.
Also in the win, TJ McConnell became the first player in NBA history to have 10 points, 5 steals, and 5 assists off the bench in an NBA Finals game. He was +8 in the first half when the team really needed him. He had 3 steals of inbound passes and turned all 3 of them into points. Big plays.
Can't get it to fall. Rebound tip. Nimhard got it. Second opportunities. McConnell on the steal and he bats it home. He's done it again. And the game is tied with 8.5 remaining.
That was Mike Breen of ABC on the call. The Pacers bench outscored Oklahoma City's vaunted reserves 49-18. Needless to say, the Pacers bench was the difference in this one.
I mean, those guys were tremendous. TJ just brought a competitive will to the game. Mathurin jumped in there and immediately was aggressive and got the ball in the basket. And, look, this is the kind of team that we are. We need everybody to be ready. It's not always going to be exactly the same guys that are stepping up with scoring. And this is how we got to do it. And we got to do it as a team. And we got to make it as hard as possible on them.
That, of course, was Pacers head coach Rick Carlisle. The Pacers are now 9-1 in these playoffs in clutch games. They trailed 91-87 with 11 minutes left before a Tyrese Halliburton 3 gave the Pacers the lead with 6:42 left, and they never surrendered it. Halliburton's 4th three-pointer of the game kicked off a 29-16 Pacers run to the end of the game. After Game 3, ESPN Radio's Jorge Sedano caught up with Tyrese Halliburton to ask him about, I guess this is arguable, probably not, the Pacers' biggest win in franchise history, at least in the NBA.
So many different guys chipped in. The guy behind me, Ben Mathurin, was amazing off the bench tonight. He just stuck with it. Pascal was here to start the game, and we just had guys make plays after plays. Our bench is amazing. TJ, Obi, it's a big win for us.
Bennett had some challenging moments the first 2 games. What was specifically different about him tonight?
Well, it's not just him. All of us having challenges. None of us have really played well. But I think he's just doing a great job keeping his head down, keep working. Those are big-time minutes, and we really missed him in our last playoff run. So it's big that he's here with us now.
A lot of big performances in the win. Pascal Siakam got the Pacers off to a great start and finished with 21 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals, and a block. Huge performance. Obi Toppin had 8 points, 6 rebounds, and a couple of big blocks in the win. Aaron Nesmith, Andrew Nimhard, and Miles Turner had just 24 points combined, but all 3 came up with some big plays down the stretch. Here's ESPN's Scott Van Pelt and ABC play-by-play announcer Mike Breen, 2 of the very few people worth listening to on that network, on the big Pacers win and what he saw in Indy on Wednesday night.
I was struck by the atmosphere and just the physicality on both sides. You've called a lot of these. You've been at 21 straight here with us. What did you see tonight, Mike?
I saw a team in the Pacers that they have this belief about them. Like, it doesn't matter if they're behind, if they're ahead. There's just a special fight to this group. And I think because of what they've gone through the last couple of playoffs, and they've gone through it together, it's the perfect example of continuity on a basketball team. Same coach, same players, and they know their strengths, they know their weaknesses. It's fun to watch because they know how to play together.
It was the first Game 3 win of the playoffs for the Pacers. Their only home losses that they had in the postseason, both had come in Game 3s. Jalen Williams had his first big outing of the finals. The Pacers survived his 26-point performance. Indiana held MVP Shai Gilgeous-Alexander to 24 points on 9 of 20 shooting. Chet Holmgren had a big first half. He scored 13 before halftime and finished with 20 points and 10 rebounds. Thunder fans probably aren't too panicked. They also trailed the Nuggets 2-1 after 3, but won that series in 7 games. Game 4 is Friday. Tip is at 8:30. I'm getting nervous just thinking about it. Here's Ben Matherin on how big the Pacers fans were in the win.
They were very, very important. I think that, the state of Indiana is about basketball, and that's the first time that I really felt it. And as much as this is a dream right now, I'm not trying to live in my dream. I'm trying to live in the present and make sure the dream ends well, which means winning next game and winning a championship. So.
Moving on to the NFL, the Indianapolis Stars' Joel A. Erickson wrote Wednesday that Colts quarterback Anthony Richard flew to Los Angeles to get an opinion on his throwing soldier from Dr. Neil Elitrash. Rehab has been selected over surgery, and head coach Shane Steichen said there's quote-unquote no timetable on the return, and wouldn't say whether he expects Richardson to be ready to go by training camp on July 24th. Erickson also reported that Daniel Jones has looked sharp in minicamp at the Colts facility in Indianapolis. Offensive coordinator Jim Bob Cooter had good things to say about second-year wide receiver A.D. Mitchell. Rookie tight end Tyler Warren has reportedly looked very good in his first minicamp, and there's strong competition going on for the place kicker spot between Spencer Schrader and Matt Trujillo. Some mini camp and NFL news from around the country. Aaron Rodgers made a Steelers minicamp debut Wednesday and also revealed that he's married. Running back J.K. Dobbins signed a one-year deal with the Broncos. 49ers running back and former MVP Christian McCaffrey said he's fully recovered from his Achilles injury. And former Cathedral star Terry McLaurin is holding out, seeking a new contract from Washington.
Chaparro hits it hard. Beatty's got it. Makes the running throw. And the ball game is over. David Peterson with a masterful 6-hit shutout. The first complete game of the season for the Mets. And Peterson throws 9 scoreless innings. And the Mets defeat the Nats 5-0.
Oh, I love it. Pete gave him the ball. Keep that one forever, Petey. Dave Peterson with just his best effort.
That was Gary Cohen and Ron Darling on SNY in New York. The New York Mets are now a league best 44-24. They've won 5 straight and 11 of their last 13 after David Peterson's first career complete game shutout Wednesday in a 5-0 win over the Nationals. The top 4 teams in the National League Central all lost. The Phillies took the rubber match from the Cubs 7-2. The Blue Jays finished off a 3-game sweep of the Cardinals. The Braves took the rubber match from Milwaukee, and the Reds lost to Cleveland 11-2 on getaway day, despite Ellie De La Cruz's 13th home run of the season. The Cubs are now 41-27, 5 games up on the Cardinals, 5.5 on the Brewers, and 6.5 ahead of the Reds. Indiana High School Golf Regionals will be played on Thursday across Indiana at TPC in Yorktown, where I will be to bring you coverage of that regional. Stonehenge in Warsaw, Country Oaks in Washington, Champions Point in Henryville, and Sandy Pines in DeMott. Playing locally in the Muncie Central Sectional at TPC are Noblesville, Hamilton Southeastern, Pendleton Heights, Yorktown, New Powell, Newcastle, Mount Vernon, and Delta, plus individuals, Lapel's Owen Garber, Tipton's Preston Lancaster, Fisher's Tommy Klinger, Cowan's Dawson Goney, Jay County's Griffin Byram, Greenfield Central's Avery Young, Wapahani's Dylan Dodd, and the Eastern Hancock duo of Parker Adkins and Zach Stevens. Eastbrook, Westfield, Carmel, and Zionsville, plus Oak Hill's Trent Nelson, Clinton Central's Camden Price, and the Guerin tandem of Eli Wessel and Robbie Burt will play at Friday's regional at Coyote Crossing and Lafayette. Harrison is the host, and it's the only regional not being played on Thursday. The 2-round state finals is Tuesday and Wednesday at Prairie View in Carmel. The reigning Stanley Cup champion Florida Panthers can take a big step toward a repeat Thursday when they host the Edmonton Oilers in Game 4 of the Stanley Cup Final. Florida leads the series 2-1 after taking the last 2 wins. Game 3 was a 6-1 walloping of the Oilers on home ice in a game that turned into an on-ice brawl for most of the third period. Game 4 is at 8 on TNT and the Max app. The Indiana Fever are off until Saturday, and it's a big one. The Fevers host the unbeaten New York Liberty at 3 p.m. at the Fieldhouse in front of a national television audience the afternoon after Game 4 of the NBA Finals in the same building. The Fever are 2-1 in the in-season Commissioner's Cup after Tuesday's 77-58 loss in Atlanta. However, Indiana still holds their fate in their own hands in the Commissioner's Cup because the only unbeaten team in the East is the New York Liberty, which is 3-0 in the Cup and 9-0 on the year, Saturday's opponent. The Fever continue to be without Caitlin Clark, whose quad injury has held her out of the Fever's last 5 games. Her status for Saturday is unknown as of the airing of this podcast. Indiana is 2-3 in her absence and now 4-5 on the year, tied for 7th in the WNBA standings. A few news and notes items. Delta Athletic Director Tillman Clark tweeted Wednesday that he's taking the same position at Hamilton Southeastern. He was approved by the school board on Tuesday evening. Alexandria senior Lily Harp was named to the Girls Tennis Indiana All-Star team and will compete Sunday as part of the North team against the South. IU football has landed another prized recruit and defensive lineman Cavante Hogan from Sarasota, Florida. According to 24/7 Sports, he chose the Hoosiers over Baylor, Illinois, Iowa, Kansas, Louisville, Maryland, Miami, Missouri, Penn State, and USC. That's your daily update. Please become a subscriber or follower or whatever at YouTube, Spotify, Apple, Amazon, or SoundCloud so you don't miss a day of our Central Indiana Scoreboard show and any of our other podcasts involving the Pacers, Fever, Colts, IU, Purdue, Ball State, Butler, or local high schools. Thanks so much for listening. Always appreciate it. Please share. The Central Indiana Sports Report is a product of ITG Media, and I love Susie.